Mark, the man who soiled his own dignity, was rushed to the hospital after his body succumbed to a series of terrifying symptoms: a pounding headache, debilitating dizziness, and relentless nausea. While trying to tell his friends he needed medical help, he lost consciousness. Each moment felt like a battle against an unseen enemy, pushing him to the brink of oblivion as darkness closed in. Amidst the serenity of their cozy home, Mark and Sarah's seemingly perfect marriage harbored a dark secret, one that would unravel with a simple knock on the door. As the truth starts to come out, bit by bit, the wife who was betrayed starts to plan her revenge. And when the time comes for her to get back at him, it won't be just their marriage that falls apart. It'll be their whole lives. Mark, a 32-year-old software engineer, and Sarah, a 25-year-old nurse, shared a life filled with comfort and love. Their cozy home was a sanctuary where they found solace in each other's company. However, beneath the facade of their seemingly perfect marriage, cracks began to form. One Sunday afternoon, as Sarah and Mark sat together in their living room, engaged in lively conversation, a soft knock echoed through the air, interrupting their tranquility. Sarah rose from her seat and opened the door to reveal their new neighbor, Taylor, a 30-year-old woman with a warm smile and an air of friendliness. Taylor explained that she needed to borrow a ladder and fix a broken window in her own home. Mark graciously offered Taylor the use of their ladder and even volunteered to assist her with the repair work. As they ventured outside, Sarah couldn't help but notice the easy rapport between her husband and their new neighbor. Taylor and Mark struck up a conversation, discovering shared interests in technology and discussing the intricacies of their neighborhood. From her vantage point at the window, Sarah observed the interaction between Mark and Taylor with growing unease. Despite her best efforts to conceal her feelings, she couldn't shake the nagging suspicion that there was more to their connection than mere neighborly camaraderie. As Taylor leaned in to show Mark something on her phone, Sarah caught a subtle shift in her husband's demeanor, an almost imperceptible flicker of interest that he tried to suppress. Over the following days, Sarah found herself plagued by doubts and insecurities, her mind consumed by the memory of that seemingly innocent encounter. With each passing moment, the distance between her and Mark seemed to widen, replaced by an unsettling sense of apprehension and doubt. As the facade of their marriage began to crumble, Sarah was left grappling with the harsh reality that love, once believed to be their strongest bond, could prove to be nothing more than a fragile illusion. One night, shortly after Sarah kissed Mark goodbye for work, Taylor went to Mark's house. She was dealing with some code complexities and needed help to figure them out. Mark let her in and assisted her. He offered her a cup of coffee as he resolved her coding problem. Once he had solved it, Taylor, excited, hugged him. However, this hug eventually triggered a surge of hormones, leading Mark to cheat on his wife. He allowed Taylor into more than just his house. He invited her into his bed. Mark was known for frequently talking in his sleep. The following night, Sarah was scrolling through her Instagram feed while Mark slept soundly beside her. Suddenly, he began to murmur about his time with Taylor the previous night, confessing to having fun with her. It was in that moment that Sarah discovered she had been cheated on, and a storm of anger and betrayal brewed within her, directed towards both Mark and Taylor. The following morning, Sarah told Mark she was going to work, but instead, she made a stop at Taylor's house. Taylor was quite surprised and had lots of troubling thoughts running through her head. However, Sarah remained calm and smiled. She revealed to Taylor that she knew all about what had happened between her and Mark, because Mark had confessed everything to her. Still composed, Sarah promised to cause harm to both of them. She handed Taylor a tightly sealed container of potassium cyanide and also gave her a sandwich, instructing her to open the container and put just a small amount of its contents into the sandwich. Initially, Taylor refused, but Sarah threatened her with a knife. Reluctantly, Taylor obeyed. and Sarah ordered her to immediately give the sandwich to Mark and watch him eat it. Taylor knew her life was in danger, but complying with Sarah's orders seemed to offer her a chance at freedom. Hurriedly, she made her way to Mark's house, where she found him getting ready to go out. Despite her nerves, she tried to appear calm as she apologized for their previous encounter and offered him a sandwich as a peace offering. Unsuspecting, Mark accepted the sandwich and began to eat it. As soon as he did, Taylor made a hasty exit from the house, running without looking back. Mark, bewildered by Taylor's sudden departure, attempted to catch up with her, but she had already disappeared down another route. Seeking solace, Mark headed to his friend Joe's house, where a couple of friends were awaiting his arrival for some tech work. 15 minutes later, Mark began to experience headaches and dizziness. His friends teased him, attributing his symptoms to excessive alcohol consumption the previous night. However, Mark's condition rapidly deteriorated as he started to feel increasingly weak and developed abdominal discomfort. Shortly after, he experienced nausea and rushed to the bathroom to vomit. Despite his friend's assumption that he was suffering from a hangover, Mark's discomfort persisted and escalated. He suffered a series of disorientations. While he tried to reach out to his friends for help, he eventually lost consciousness and his tissue hypoxia worsened. Realizing that Mark's condition was more serious than they initially thought, his friends became alarmed and called an ambulance. Mark was promptly taken to the hospital, where medical professionals could provide the necessary treatment. Now, to what potassium cyanide is. Potassium cyanide is a highly toxic compound composed of potassium and cyanide ions. It is a white, crystalline solid that is soluble in water and has a bitter, almond-like odor. Potassium cyanide is primarily used in industrial applications, including gold mining, electroplating, and chemical synthesis. The effects of potassium cyanide poisoning can be rapid and severe, with symptoms appearing within minutes to hours after exposure, depending on the dose and route of exposure. Initial symptoms may include nausea, vomiting, headache, dizziness, rapid breathing, rapid heart rate, and anxiety. As cyanide levels increase in the body, more severe symptoms such as seizures, loss of consciousness, cardiac arrhythmias, respiratory failure, and coma may occur. Without prompt medical intervention, potassium cyanide poisoning can be fatal. A series of tests was conducted on Mark, revealing that he had been poisoned with potassium cyanide, which had developed into a dangerously severe case. He presented with hypotension, characterized by extremely low blood pressure resulting from impaired cardiac function and decreased systematic vascular resistance. To address his condition, Mark was administered supplemental oxygen to increase oxygen delivery to tissues and alleviate tissue hypoxia. Additionally, he received antidotes to neutralize cyanide in his body and facilitate its elimination. These antidotes include sodium thiosulfate and hydroxycobalamin, vitamin B12A. Nothing seemed to be working. In cases of severe cyanide poisoning with high levels of cyanide in the bloodstream, antidotes may be less effective at neutralizing cyanide and reversing its toxic effects. Mark had multi-organ failure. Severe cyanide poisoning can lead to multi-organ failure due to tissue hypoxia and metabolic disturbances. Organs most commonly affected include the brain, heart, lungs, liver, and kidneys. Complications may include acute respiratory distress syndrome, acute kidney injury, and hepatic failure. Mark's heart, lungs, brain, kidneys, and liver sustained severe damage. 30 minutes after receiving antidotes, he suffered a fatal cardiac arrest and passed away. The autopsy conducted on his body revealed that potassium cyanide had been added to his food. Sarah was questioned by detectives, but she denied any knowledge of his poisoning. She admitted to knowing about her husband's affair with their neighbor and speculated that she may have inadvertently served him the poisoned food. During their investigation, the detectives visited Taylor's house to ask her a few questions, only to discover her lifeless body on the floor. She had committed suicide. A year later, Sarah was convicted after pleading guilty in court. In the end, Justice was served, but the scars of betrayal ran deep, leaving a trail of shattered lives in their wake. And as Sarah was led away to face her punishment, the echoes of her actions reverberated through the courtroom, a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of greed, jealousy, and the insatiable thirst for revenge.